I got to open up today by telling you just a quick story, and that is, it's a good thing I'm wearing a headset. It normally messes up my hair, but this is not bad head. It's just I decided to comb my hair backwards today instead of forwards, and this is what happened. I now suddenly feel some sympathy for Trey Gowdy, who could never get it right. I have a head hair that kind of goes in all different directions, and apparently he has the same thing. Hey, folks, I wanted to open this up just and say that not everything is bad in neighboring Oregon. I live right next door. I've been to Oregon before, not really for long, but I've been to Oregon before. We've got all these situations going on in places like Portland where there's a riot every day and completely out of hand. And if you're a Republican, you're being gunned down, Republican Christian in this case. Uh, this gives the impression that everything in Oregon is completely out of hand and is just, it is going to hell in a handbasket. But I just wanted to share something with you. I picked this up at the grocery store the other day. That is a brick of Tillamook cheese. Tillamook cheese is some of the most delicious cheese you could ever find. They do an ice cream as well. They do yogurt. And there's even, I'm told, a brewery on site. And not far from there is also an air museum where if you'd ever like to see the Spruce Goose, which was the giant wooden plane built by Howard Hughes, although he never called it that. In fact, he found the name insulting. But it's in a museum not too far from where they actually manufacture the cheese. So I wanted to show you that. I'm not going to be able to gobble all of this, I should point out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it right down the middle. And I have a very good friend who grew up in Oregon and is a refugee now taking shelter here in Delaware. Well, she's a conservative Christian herself. So I'm going to pass that along. She also gave me some advice the other day. She was sharing with me the beer reviews that I did are not getting a whole lot of views. And she said, why not do coffee reviews? And I can see why she'd say that because she supports 1/3 of the Colombian economy. If there's a cup of coffee nearby, she's going to be inhaling it. I'll pass that along. But on the other hand, it also makes her a wonderful conversationalist. And I look forward to all of those discussions that we have a weekly lunch date. And I get to sit down and actually I get to listen to people more so than I do on the radio because here I do most of the talking. A couple of things I do want to point out too as well. I am getting great joy from Nancy Pelosi as she twists in the wind over showing up at the hair salon, walking in the door and then getting her hair washed and then not wearing a mask. Now she's trying to, of course, blame it on everybody but herself. I just think that the people who likely were walking by, if they were people who were walking by on the street at the time and they looked inside and they saw her without the mask, it must have been a frightening, frightening situation. Yeah, it sounded something like that on the streets of San Francisco. Either that or they were stepping in poo, and that was the reaction. Or I don't know how you could figure out the difference between the poo and what you were seeing inside the hair salon. I know too many of those jokes lately, and they're probably all in bad taste. So we'll leave it at that. But in good taste, again, I just want to mention the Tillamook cheese. This stuff is tied for the best cheddar cheese, I think, in America. And when people say tied, what do you mean? Well, way back east in a very little small town in southwestern New York State, the town is called Cuba. Not at all like the island. It's a Republican stronghold in a very blue state. Blue state. It's a Republican stronghold in a very blue state. How's that? Does that sound better? But I grew up there, and we had a brand of cheese called Cuba cheese, which was phenomenally good cheddar. The problem is the cheese plant was eventually sold off to a large conglomerate. Now they just make mozzarella there, and the infamous or famous cheddar. Infamous, I guess, if you're in Tillamook because it was such a strong competitor, but the cheddar no longer emerges from there. So I guess the best cheddar in America now is Tillamook. Just wanted to pass that along. Even probably some of the liberals over in Oregon actually eat this stuff. Although it's dairy, I suppose that presents a problem for some of them. When they're eating their granola and whatever else there is on their vegan diet, probably there's some limits. Anyway, if you like our videos, we ask that you subscribe. You can hit the subscription button when you're watching them, of course, up above. And if you've got any questions or comments, please feel free to leave those on the page, and we'll try to address those as they come in. And we also, Jake and I both have radio shows of our own. Mine is in Twin Falls, Idaho, News Radio 1310 KLIX. We have a website called newsradio1310.com. I'm on the air Monday through Friday, 6 until 10 a.m. Mountain Time, although I'm taking some vacation next week. And so you can listen to us live or download an app for your smartphone called the News Radio 1310 KLIX app. Just saying, if you're interested, there's some other ways that you can keep up with what we're doing.